Hello and welcome, Beni Johnson. We're so happy to have you here on the podcast today.
Likewise, happy to be here.
Lisa.
Sorry, I got a bit frozen. Beni Johnson, this is a man who exudes massive creativity, and it shows up in so many different kinds of ways. I'm so excited to have him on here talking to us. So when I met Beni was rapping and was one half of a rap group called Humble Giants. Would you say it's a rap group? Is that what you say?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a rap group.
A rap group, all right. And so he's a killer rapper and is so awesome on stage. Yeah. But his world extends far beyond just doing music. He does a bunch of other stuff. So in Calgary, he has created this incredible platform for hip hop music. It's called 10 at 10, the 10 at 10 showcase. I've played it a couple of times, and it's really for hip hop music and culture, and has totally transformed the city. I think it's so amazing that you've done this, and just watching it grow and the kinds of things that it's done in the city has been incredible. Beni also is a Juno judge, and he sits on the board for Music Calgary. But beyond the music stuff, he's an actor, he's a voiceover artist. A couple of years ago, he did this really incredible spoken word acting thing for ATB Financial, their campaign, which was so cool. If you haven't checked it out, it's really amazing and powerful. He's also one of Calgary's top 40 under 40, which is a huge honor. Not very many people get on that list.
For sure.
Yeah. And then in addition to all of this, Beni runs his own company. He's a graphic designer, a web designer, video editor, an event coordinator. Oh my gosh, there's actually 8 million more things to list on your bio, but I'm already out of breath. But he's also, people call him a culture cultivator, which I think is perfectly describes you. So, Beni Johnson.
Hey, that was fantastic. Sorry, I didn't even get my bio to you till super late. So that was fantastic. Thank you for doing all that. That was huge.
So Beni, the first thing I want to ask you is, can you give our listeners kind of a background on your role in the industry, what you're doing right now, and how'd you get into it?
I mean, like Lisa said, I began as an artist, and being a rapper here in Calgary, Alberta, and even Canada, it's really about how do you create an opportunity for yourself to get notoriety, respect, credibility, and build in a way that can actually have true impact. So my role has gone from being an artist to being a facilitator of artists and amplifying those artists. So creating shows and events. I don't typically call myself a promoter. I feel like that word is very dirty and very like surface, even though to not take away any credit from all the work that all of our amazing promoters do. So, but I'm more so like of an event planner and strategist, and do things on more so of a community level than more of a commerce level. So I will still take on that title of event promoter, event planner, but I'm also like a music A&R and a music consultant, and I do work in the marketing field as well in regards to the music industry. And then, like Lisa had mentioned, I've judged on the Juno Awards board. I sit on the board of Music Calgary, and I sit on the board of Chinook Blast and a brand new board, which is Canada-wide, called Advance, which is, a Black initiative to support all the Black individuals within the music industry and entertainment industry throughout Canada. So that's a brand new initiative that kind of started off, and I was actually my first meeting just 2 days ago, and it's very, very promising and very, very good. So a lot of hats outside of being a rapper on hiatus right now.
Wow, that's awesome. And you talked a little bit in your bio about mentoring youth. And what I wanted to ask you is, do you think that young artists have enough opportunity in our local scene? And do you feel like different genres maybe have different opportunities or less opportunity than others?
1000%. I think people still struggle to even think of rap as being its own bona fide skill set, let alone having the avenues to pursue it in a way where you can see success in a true metric. I think a lot of times when you're sitting in a restaurant, sitting in a bar, you can see somebody playing a guitar, see somebody singing, but it's very hard to see somebody rapping, right? So in that regard, if you're a younger youth, you really are still looking abroad to find out how to be a rapper or how to be a singer. 10 to 10 is also focused in R&B music as well. I say hip hop culture, but that's also a more positive and you know, warm way of saying Black culture. You know, you can't have hip hop without R&B, and you can't have R&B without soul and reggae and all the music that comes from the culture. So, you know, ultimately it is about allowing youth to be able to see themselves and create an identity for themselves through this music and through this culture, because hip hop is a culture, and you have several access points that allow you to experience the music, but also contribute to the music as well as just even doing the music. And from there, it's like, okay, here guys, this is something that can give you an identity, whether you're a dancer or a singer or a rapper, or just appreciate making some beats and want to sit in the background. And this is what it looks like to just like touch that and be around that. And then here's also an opportunity to get on stage and so on, etc. So that's kind of how I have my hand in making sure that we can mentor some youth and giving opportunities where there definitely isn't for youth in this city, maybe even in Canada, but definitely in this city, because this is where I am.
Can you describe a little bit of what 10 at 10 is, and sort of, I mean, obviously part of the inspo is like creating culture and opportunity for people to have a place to perform. But yeah, tell us a little bit even more what motivated you to kind of go beyond just being an artist.
Yeah, I think my experience as being an artist was, whenever it comes to rap and hip hop, it's always very, at least at the time, it was very disorganized, very jagged, very just no level of professionalism. So when we created 10 to 10, the idea was to say, how do you create more structure, more order, more of an opportunity for people to be seen in a good light, in a positive light, in a very upper scale experience? So we created this concept that was also based around a system. So we said 10 artists at 10 p.m. performing for 10 minutes. And it's very simple, and it seems very simple, but literally at the time you had artists getting on stage performing for 19 minutes or 32 minutes and just putting their CD in real quick and whatever. So for us, it was about, you know, if you like the artists you see, you know, they're only on stage for 10 minutes, so you got to go find them. And if they're not, and someone you don't like, well, they're only on stage for 10 minutes. So the whole concept is like, how do you, you know, merge an idea of delivering proper content in a very digestible kind of way. So that began as that showcase that would now also push culture. So it was like, let's create a hub. And at the time, Calgary, you could still argue that it still is, but at the time in Calgary, you couldn't go to the bar, you couldn't wear sneakers, you couldn't wear a hat, you could barely wear baggy clothes. And there was literally other entities in the city that made sure that hip hop wasn't happening in clubs. So whether you have an entire force called the Hip Hop Police, whether you have concerts that have extra surcharge just for being hip hop based, and whether you walk up to the door, you know, black or with other friends that look, you know, hip hop oriented, who can't get into the club as a group. We've now created this hub once a month, every first Thursday it was when we started, to come be yourself and to come find people like yourself. So that began as like a showcase / hub, and that grew to being a place that now we could create more opportunities for people, now partnering up with other things like Lilac Fest or other outdoor concerts and events, and providing them with talent. Like, okay, you want hip hop and R&B? Well, it actually exists in your city. We have experience, you know, bringing them in. So let's add some hip hop and diversify your concert and your experience. And then from there, I went into working with other brands like Lululemon and Red Bull. So now we're kind of like a booking agency and also special events creator, because now we're working with other companies like Date Night YYC, and we're doing like Christmas parties together where we're providing performances for people. So the idea and the concept was, let's just be a showcase that we can really highlight the culture and push it out there, and be a hub to let's book artists, to let's also push culture into city of Calgary. When you think of Calgary, you think of Stampede and only cowboy culture for the most part. And we want it to be kind of that counterculture. So 10 at 10 is a very, very, very multifaceted platform that is bigger than just hip hop, and it's bigger than just a showcase. And it's always a mouthful to explain. So
I love that. Switching gears a little bit, in your bio, you said talked a little bit about promotion and social media management. And I think one of the biggest things that young artists are working on right now is trying to build their social media following, their fan base. Although many people don't necessarily go into that with a plan, and they don't know how to do it properly. So what would be your advice to young artists and bands looking to grow through social media?
Biggest advice is we are in the age of information. You know, the reason that I even have my skill set and started my marketing agency and I became a graphic designer is because I was a rapper in Alberta and Canada. And I was like, how do I get my music seen? How do I have dope cover art? And then how do I get it out there, right? And this is all at the time when, right, even before the internet era, you know, of the Napsters and the Kazams and all that kind of stuff. And then during that era, and then the blogging era, and then the SoundCloud era, it's like, yo, how do I get my music out there? So the advice for all the artists now is literally like, we are in the information era and everything is on Google and everything is on YouTube. And literally it's about taking the time to invest in yourself to say, let me go on YouTube and type in how to promote myself as an artist and watch that video. And you'd be so surprised how many people don't even do that simple thing. Because I could literally go on a spiel now for 42 minutes on different things, but it's not going to mean anything if you're not doing the actual work to practice on that and do some other research to see how that applies to what you have to offer as far as what your skill set is or what your, you know, what your brand is, right? So the more you understand, the more you can actually apply it. And anybody that's actually been successful has all done it in a unique way using basic principles. Yeah, hope that was good enough of an answer.
That was really good. Beni, did you do post-secondary school?
Yeah, so I went to originally Mount Royal for a computer science degree with a bachelor in business, and then I actually transferred over to state and finished the new media and production program. So that's where I learned how to do my graphic design, web design, video editing, all that kind of stuff, and switched out of computer science fully to go pursue more of a visual approach, which then pushed me into visual communications and marketing and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
So you like practically applied everything you went to school for, basically.
Yeah, like it was, again, I came out of high school like a jock, captain of all my basketball team, my football team, my volleyball team. I moved to Calgary to pursue music, but also to pursue football. Basketball, I still had a chance, but I'm 5'7", so I mean, I understand real recognize real. But for football, I was like, I had a couple different scholarships, so I was gonna pursue that. I got injured, so now it's like, oh, what do I do? Woe is me. Let's figure out a career that's not in the trades, because I'm from Fort McMurray, and naturally everyone around us, you know, goes to site, and you get the golden handcuffs. And I was like, let me not do that. And let me pursue this thing as a rapper or as a creative and see what that even means at the time. So yeah, that was kind of the thing of, now I do like visual stuff. I was doing graphic design since I was like probably 12 or 13 years old. It's like, I know how to do that. I do like coding, but let me apply it more to the visual side, because that's, I know where my true power is. And the rest is history.
Okay, you're kind of a bit of a reinventor there.
A little bit.
I wanted to ask you, oh, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
You know what, I'm just going to do a quick follow-up question to what you just talked about. What do you think are some of the skills that you possess that have helped you do all of these different kinds of things?
I do think, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do wouldn't be able to happen if I didn't have a very strategic mind. Like, my mind thinks very much so in strategy and, you know, how the cards will lay out in a way. And that's important because it's about the long game. A lot of what I was doing for the showcase was never based on, hey, let's get some people through the door and make money off it. It was like, yo, how do we create a community? And how does that happen over time? And what are some of the roadblocks that will come into the way for that? And what are some of the things that I need, or the people I need to align myself with to make sure that some of that kind of stuff can happen? So I think under it all is that my mind is very strategic. And then on the surface or the front line is that I have, you know, graphic design and marketing skills. So 10 at 10 has also become a massive marketing platform for artists on the social media side, because what we've done is push and encourage artists in between our shows and in between our events. So when we post about the artists, or we let people know about their music, or to get excited for this artist coming at the next show, you know, that has been a major driving force behind how the stuff that we've done gets recognized or understood or noticed, especially by the community that's looking for it. So I'd say those two are the main things. I think like there's other intangible skills that I don't really put at the forefront. That's why we've been around for 9 years, but a lot of people don't even know that I do all the things that I do, because I just do the work and I really do it behind a veil. I don't really try to, you know, be on Front Street about that.
All right, humble giants. I see where you got your rap group name from.
Exactly. And shout out to Half Cut, because Half Cut is just as humble. So, you know.
That's awesome. Can you explain what a promotional campaign is to any young artists who might not know what is involved?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like how you get music into the hands of a fan, right? And that takes time. And that now in 2020, there's probably 10 touches for somebody before they actually digest the information that you're putting out there. So a promotional campaign needs to involve a way for you to get your information to somebody in 10 different ways, or through 10 different approaches, or through 10 different slow dripping on your forehead ways of like, okay, press play on my music. So it is about, what is this project going to be about? Let them know that something's coming. Then let them know about an idea. Then maybe give them a visual. Then maybe give them a little sample of that music. Then maybe give them a little bit of the visual behind it. Then also perform that music. And then also give them a very, very less than 3-click way of streaming it or buying it. That's pretty much it. Now, when they do that, you still have to have shelf life. So in 2020, everything is about shelf life. It used to be, you release your music, it comes out pressed on CD, and it's going to be out for Tuesday, and then that's it. And everybody's so pumped about your first week sales. Now it's about your shelf life. It's literally, this song got released in 2019, but now it's being nominated for, you know, all these different awards, or it's getting all these streams because of a year of ramp up and momentum later, right? There's so much music going on now that if you don't have an idea about shelf life for your music, it'll just get lost in the roughestness of everything. So. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Sorry, Maddie, are you gonna switch gears or do you have okay, because I have a question about this shelf life thing. Because it seems like people are releasing singles and putting them out like pretty quickly and often, which is kind of contrary, or maybe in line with what you're talking about. But
it's in line, because what you're doing is, and it also depends on the kind of artist, but it's very much in the line of consistency. So a lot of artists, and I would say that especially in our market, they're not pushed by anything. So they don't really understand what's happening around us on a larger scale. And what that means is, like, if you are only putting out one song a year, as somebody who says that that's what you want to be your career, imagine going to work and, I don't know, doing deliveries, and you delivered once a month. How are you possibly even doing that as a full-time job? So if you're going to be an artist and a recording artist, you need to be recording every single day. Now, you can say you can do that for 8 hours, and I know there's a lot of people who do overtime, 10, 12 hours for a job that they hate. So if you're doing music and you're not doing that much per day at least, then I don't think that you're truly pursuing that career. Now, to put that music out, what you're doing is building a fan base. You're letting people know what you sound like, but you're also getting a feedback loop to understand, what do my fans like? There's friends, then there's fans, and your fans determine what kind of music that they appreciate from you. And when you have that fan base, you can do so much. And from that fan base, you'll get super fans. And if you have literally 100 super fans, someone that's going to spend $1,000 on you in a calendar year, you're making 6 figures, right? If you have 1,000 fans that will spend $100 on you, you're making 6 figures, right? And either way, you know, the work is still very similar. Whether you have 1,000 followers or fans or 100 fans, it's very much the same. So how much effort are you going to put into keeping those fans and pushing it further?
What is the process of turning like an acquaintance or an audience member into a fan or into a super fan? How do you get them over there?
I think the tried, trusted, and true is like people believing in your hustle. I think a lot of people do things for the moment or for clout. They like to get on stage, or they like to do something really brief, but people can also see, like, you know, I have seen you on stage, but I really haven't seen you do anything much more than that one song, or I haven't really seen you, you know, put out music that I can listen to at my house or whatever on a consistent basis. And I think when you don't kind of follow up in that way, you could be gigging all you want. You can play 6 shows a week, every single day, every single week for an entire year, but only have one song that was released in 2015, right? So people can't be your fan because they can't really purchase anything except for being at your live show. And because we're in 2020, people are listening to artists from across the pond every single day. You're competing with the world's best. And literally, if your song isn't as good as a Drake song, you're going to play the Drake song when you're on Spotify. Like, it's just that simple. You're going to play the Ariana Grande, you're going to play the Taylor Swift because it's right there. And, you know, whether they're your friends or not, if you're not giving them something that they can buy into and hook onto and say, like, this person's got me during Valentine's Day, or for my birthday, they got my birthday music, or they got my barbecue music, like, it's very hard for them to become your fan. So you as an artist have to be consistent and let people know that you're actively pursuing this for real. And I think that intent and that actual action bleeds into everything else. And it bleeds into, like, yeah, I follow you on Spotify, I listen to every new song that you drop, blah, 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 blah.
Yes. Okay. Dude, you have so much advice. It's incredible. Do you like specifically mentor people?
Yeah, there's a few artists that I work with, and yeah, I'm always open to, like, just have conversations. I love this stuff. Like, I mean, I pay attention to what's going on. I like to understand things that I'm involved in. I've always been that way, whether it was like a job that I was working at, like Superstore in the electronics department, or not. Like, I want to know what megapixels are if I'm selling cameras, right? So if I'm going to be in the music industry, I need to understand why is it that someone's able to have a 30-year career or a 10-year career, or why is there so many one-hit wonders? How come they don't have a second single or whatever? So yeah, I do mentor some people, and then I'm still learning too every single day. Like, there's just too much to learn, and everybody in the industry is still learning. Like, we're at such an amazing point in the music industry for every genre, that it's just a very, very, very good time to just, like, get the knowledge and keep paying attention and keep adapting and keep trying and keep innovating. And there's no silver bullet to music. There used to be, like, oh, get a label, get it in, and everyone's like, yeah, but none of that's the case anymore. So you can truly get it through so many different ways, and you just got to be willing to do the work.
Right. And how would you? Sorry, Maddie, I have so many questions.
I know.
How would you suggest people go about getting a mentor or seeking that kind of partner or someone they can talk to about that?
I think the saying goes, when the student is ready, the master will appear, something like that. Like, I think you have to be so active in the work that you're doing that you will attract that kind of mentorship, because people will see you doing what you're doing. Like, if you're skating on the ice and, like, you're almost biffing, but you're trying so hard to go, someone that can skate's gonna come beside you and be like, yo, you should try this, you should try that. So there is that part of it, but then there's also, like, okay, who's doing stuff in this music industry right now, and reaching out, sending them a message, and not just doing it from a standpoint of, like, hey, I see what you're doing, come do it for me for free. But I see what you're doing. Compliment them. Let them know that you know their work and that you're paying attention to the work that they're doing, and then offer your services. And then, in turn, hopefully get some back. Gary Vee wrote an amazing book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. People should check that out as well. And it's really just about having a combination or a strategy, or understanding that you have to first give before you can receive.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
You talked a little bit before within a promotional campaign about branding, about an image, visuals. So how does a band go about creating a brand, which maybe encompasses their image, what they wear on stage, how they act, maybe in interviews in the media, and just their visual as a band? So how do you make all of this cohesive, and how do you develop that as a young band?
There's so many different ways to do this. Again, it's not even about a silver bullet, but it is also about like the standard of branding and marketing. And it's also just looking at, like, who do you want your audience to be, and who are you doing this for? Are you this hardcore enthusiast metal rocker that loves this specific part of the culture and want to make sure you're around those people at all times and making sure your music is mosh pit music? Is that what you want to do? Then you have to create a brand that does that and says that before you even step on stage. You know, you probably couldn't call yourself like little young guy that raps. You probably couldn't do that, right? You're probably going to call yourself like meat cleaver. Right? Like you're doing things that are based within the culture of what you're trying to do, right? And it's specifically for an audience. Now you have a lot of people that are like, yo, I just want to do this for myself. I just want to, you know, make enough to feed my family. And like, it's just for me. It's like, well, if it's just for you, just record in your room and don't ever release it. So if you want to do it for people, be real. Music is entertainment. It falls under the entertainment category when you go to the shopping center, when you go on the internet. You have to understand that people need to be entertained or they're not going to pay you. And if they don't pay you, you can't pay your bills. So when you're branding yourself, you have to pay attention to the career of what that means. Like, how can I get paid to do the work that I love? And what's the audience that I'm trying to at least do this for? That audience can grow, and hopefully it does. But who is it? Is it another version of yourself that you're doing it for? Or are you doing it for kids? Or are you doing it for older people? I think you have to first determine who you want your audience to be, because it is about making music, but it's also about creating general enough stories that someone else can familiarize with you, because you're doing it from an authentic perspective and you're doing it for that young kid that feels just like you. And I could say that the music that I made was for a young Black kid. It probably wasn't for the young white kid that grew up in upper whatever. Like, that's just the reality of what it is. But they could probably listen to my stuff and be like, oh, I'm with you. I understand your story now. That's very entertaining, sir. So sorry for the long answer, but that's kind of it. Like, understand your audience and then look at how you want to contribute to that audience.
That's awesome. Lisa, do you have any other specific questions for Beni?
Oh my God, of course I do. I could talk to you for 15 million more hours.
Listen, we can do part 2, part 3, part 17. I'm here. You guys got me.
Oh, Maddie's going to hit you with a good end question. She's got
okay.
One. Yeah.
So usually we ask all of our guests, because this podcast is geared toward youth and adding to the community, educating, stuff like that. So what would your advice be to a young artist who is just beginning, or maybe even what would your advice be to your past self?
Advice to my past. To be honest, like as a creative and as like an art person, I would say, and as weird as this sounds, find the money. Understand what you're doing, but find the money, because the hard part about what you want to do is it needs to be fueled financially. As much as your passion can drive you to where you want to go, the reason that people get signed to labels is because they need financial backing. And that financial backing goes from anything as small as like your recording in your studio time, all the way to how you market yourself. And you can talk about marketing being like, some of the biggest records you understand or know in pop music literally have a marketing budget of anywhere from $400,000 to $3 million. And that's radio, and you don't even understand how those numbers work. And it's very much like not about, hey, I need to do a song to get paid $30 at a gig. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understand that getting involved with the things that you get involved come with a number amount. And very much like your parents tried to tell you, like, where's the money and all that? Try to like actually find out, like, if you're going to pursue something, what are like the revenue streams, and even though I'm trying things, I'm just being artistic and I'm allowing myself to like really feel things, spend the extra time to like find out where the dollars came from some of the top earners or the top most popular people in those fields, and find out how they were able to build an infrastructure. Because what you'll end up finding is like you have all this talent in the world, but now because you don't have the finances to get there, and you've been doing things a certain way for 20 years, that now like you're behind the game or behind the 8 ball of somebody that got $30,000 ready to go on a marketing campaign or whatever. So as shallow as that sounds, it's like very much a big key as to why artists can or can't be successful. And shout out to things and grant services like Factor with it throughout Canada that provide grants for artists, but those are still very hard to get as well. So my younger self, just pay attention to the dollars, because a lot of the stuff that I did was always just about, nah, man, just do it for the culture, do it for the love, do it for passion. And I did all those things. But then the pandemic hit and you're like, damn it, man. Why weren't you looking at the money, son? But it's like, it's all about like paying attention to that, because it's part of the equation. It just really is. So.
That is a good reminder. Benny, can you hit us with the book title one more time? Jab, jab, jab.
Yeah, Jab, 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 Right Hook is the Gary V's book, Gary Vaynerchuk. And that's just, again, a simple book about, you know, how to definitely give before you receive.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Benny. So much information. Wow.
Sorry if I talked too much or if I got too serious, yo.
That was absolutely fantastic. The whole point is to provide education for young musicians, and you totally did that, and you have such wide range of experiences to draw on, and that's just amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Tight. I'm happy to have done it. Anytime. Holla at your boy.
Okay. Thanks, Benny.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.